Well, hello guys, and welcome back to another Thoughts On video. This is the final Thoughts On video for E3. Yeah, I've kind of been busy with other stuff starting, Wednesday? That's why this video took an extra week, but hey, we should go back to our regularly scheduled content right after this. Well, okay, it's complicated, right? But E3 happened, it wrapped up about a week ago. I know I said I was going to do videos on Nintendo Treehouse. I watched parts of Nintendo Treehouse. There was just a point where I was like, I don't give a fuck. So I'm just not going to make those videos. Just because, well, yes, stuff happened. Not a lot of stuff that I cared about happened. I mean, like, there was some good stuff, some good content. But overall, it just didn't really do anything for me, right? And I barely watched some of it on on the second day. There was a point where I was like, wow, I don't care at all about any of this. So I just didn't watch. I've rewatched some of the stuff afterwards, but okay, all that being said, E3 2017 as a whole. I want to highlight at least 10 of my favorite games and 10 of my least favorite games from this E3. This E3 has kind of been very negative for a lot of people. It's had some good moments, it's had some bad moments. People really seem to be highlighting the bad moments. A big theme this year, which everyone seems to latch onto, and yeah, I do agree with, is that there seems to be a lack of human connection. A lot of these conferences could be shown through video, right? You didn't need a stage show. You could have just sent a video, like what Nintendo's been doing for years, and it would have had basically the same effect. But, however, even Nintendo puts more heart into their videos than any of these other conferences did. So, yeah. This is one of the two major complaints I'm seeing, and yeah, no, I understand where the complaint's coming from. It's completely apparable, and yeah. But let's get into this. This list, even though it is kind of a top 10 list, it's not organized. It's not organized by favorite to least favorite. Instead, I've organized it by conference. So you'll get some games from the same conference, and some conferences will only have a single game, in which I kind of forced myself to put on here. And then the only one that really matters is my number one pick, which is my favorite and least favorite games of the show, respectively, which I'll highlight after I highlight who I think won E3. Alright, but with that, let's start off with EA's conference. This was the first conference of the show. And yeah, I don't give a shit about this conference. So this was one where I had to force myself to find stuff to put on, and it was actually the only one I had to force myself to put stuff on. For the best list, A Way Out, the guy who made Tales of Two Brothers, the prison escape game. I think that looks really good. It looks interesting. I'm excited to see where it goes, right? But only time will tell. On my worst list, I'm doing The Long Shot, Madden 18. Honestly, I could have put any sports game on here, because I really don't give a shit about sports games. But the one I give the least of a shit about is American football, so The Long Shot's getting on here. I just don't give a shit. And that's probably why E3 is considered, or EA has the worst conference of E3 for most people, is because a lot of gamers don't give a shit about sport game. I know some people do, but that's what they tend to focus on. And this year they focused on sport game a lot. Alright, so next up we had Microsoft's conference. Their 2-hour slog fest where they just kept fucking going. Oh my god, I felt like this thing was never going to end. But with its length, it must have some things I like, right? Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves, it looks great. I like the whole pirate adventure aspect, right? The whole multiplayer, go out, adventure with your friends, go pirate exploring, fight treasures. Maybe there'll be awesome stuff, maybe they won't be. I don't know. We're new Rare, right? I want this to be really good. I think it'll be good. I don't know. Luckily, Ubisoft's kind of catching up for the slack here because they've kind of tried and true, but we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Yeah, no, Sea of Thieves looks good. Shadow of War, the original Shadow of Mordor was great. Still haven't played it. Looks good. But, yeah, I haven't played it, but Shadow of War looks great. It's surprisingly charming, which is something I did not expect. But I am interested in it. I do love the ideas of the Nemesis system, as I've talked about before. And that, honestly, that alone sells the game. But with their whole recruiting enemies and the Nemesis fortresses and all that, yeah, no, this game looks great. It's clearly shown that. Because it's funny, because when you think, oh, a Lord of the Rings video game based on Middle-earth, oh, that's going to piss people off. But no, they actually handle it really well and make a surprisingly good game. Right? The next one is Cuphead. Cuphead is a game that every year I'm like, yes, win. This looks amazing, right? I love the art style. I love the vibe it's going for. It looks so great. But it's always like, when are we going to get a release date? We didn't get a release date last year. We didn't get one, I think, the year before. Finally, we have a release date. It's a little over 2-3 months away. But I kind of hold back putting this on the list for two reasons. One is that we've seen it the past few years. And two, the trailer was like 10-15 seconds. So, yeah, I'm still putting it on here, but it's just one of those ones where it's like, it's good this is finally coming out, because this is basically my Game of Microsoft show. This was my favorite thing, but I kind of, I'm happy for it to finally be out, if you know what I mean. The worst things in Microsoft show, State of Decay 2. I think people liked the first State of Decay, but it was bug-riddled to hell, and the second one doesn't look any better, in my opinion. It just looks like another generic zombie game. Sure, it has permadeath, but god damn it, I'm so fucking sick of zombie games. State of Decay, it just doesn't look that interesting. It's one of those games that I think lives or dies by gameplay and not trailers, because yeah, no. Well, that's most zombie games nowadays. Because they don't really appeal to trailers, right? And then the other things was Ashen. It reminded me of like Dark Souls, but it just did not look that interesting, like, at all. It had a okay art style, but I'm just like, wow, I don't care about this at all. It doesn't look interesting. And then Super Lucky's Tale. This is that whole game that I said looked like Conker, but not as dumb as like Young Conker. It's just, I said in my Microsoft briefing that it looks like you told a bunch of studio executives, design a 2D platformer like Mario, like Sonic, or a 2D, 3D platformer like Mario, Sonic, or even fucking Bubsy. And this is what they'd give you. It's just the most generic, designed by committee platformer. It just does not look interesting. It's very collectathon-esque, which I have no problem with collectathons, but we kind of already got Ukulele this year, so I'm kind of good with collectathons. Well, we do have Mario Odyssey, and that does have that whole 100 coins thing. But whatever, right? I don't care for it. Next up, we got Bethesda's Conference, which, okay, this is one of those things where I'm like, in the moment, I was really excited for Bethesda's Conference. I was like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, this is awesome. And then after it happened, I was like, maybe that wasn't as great as I thought it was. Right? The game I liked the most in Bethesda's Conference was Wolfenstein 2. The original Wolfenstein was pretty good. This one also looks pretty good. So yeah, I'm excited for it, right? It's coming out this year, that's one of the great things about Bethesda's Conference, is that they focused on this year, but that's also their problem, is they focused on stuff only coming out this year. My my least favorite thing from Bethesda's conference is the Creators Club. You know, their whole paid DLC. Oh my god, paid DLC. God damn it. Fuck shit. Who cares, right? It's stupid goddamn paid DLC. Which, I understand the sentiment behind it, but god damn it, no. Or, I mean, paid mods. It's kind of... Honestly, at that point, it's kind of one in the same. But I really don't want paid mods. And they've tried it before, and it didn't work last time. What makes them think it's going to work this time? And if you want a game in this slot, because Creators Club is more of like an event thing, Evil Within 2, it's a horror game. It does not look scary at all. And it's like, oh, well, that's you, right? But no, it's really easy to scare me with a horror game. I get scared really easily. So, the Evil Within 2 just looking like generic whatever and not being scary at all really does not impress me. Like, at all. Right. Next up, we got Ubisoft's conference, which... Okay, let's start off. South Park Fractured But Whole. I loved the original South Park game. It was so funny. I'm still a big fan of South Park. So this new game looks great. I'm excited for it. It got a release date... Well, it got a release date a few weeks ago of October, which... Yeah, okay, I'm excited, right? I love South Park. It still looks great. This trailer was funny as ever. The other thing that I like that really interests me is Skull and Bones. I really liked the pirating in Assassin's Creed 3, and from what I've played of Assassin's Creed 4, still need to beat that game. So, Skull and Bones looks great. Yeah, sure, it doesn't come out for about a week, but at least we got a CGI trailer, and we got some gameplay of it, which, yeah, it's basically just Assassin's Creed 4, but hey, a spin-off would work great, so I'm really glad they're going ahead and doing it. And that makes me really excited. And Ubisoft, even though I'm not going to highlight some of them, they had a lot of other great games. I thought Assassin's Creed was good. Far Cry 5 looks good, but they're not enough to get them into my favorites list, right? On their worst games, you had Just Dance 2018. Oh god, who gives a shit? And why the fuck are you still making a game on the Wii? On the original Wii. It's 2017. And for anyone who follows me on Twitter, I just retired my Wii like 2 days ago, so I kind of see why maybe that some people still have a Wii. But the only reason I still have a Wii is because I don't have an HDMI enabled TV. Well, yeah, kind of. So that's why I still have my Wii hooked up. But for most other people, I'm assuming they've gone past a Wii. Except for if you're trying to get to the casual game market, in which the casual gamers haven't used their Wii since like the year after they got it. Right? The other thing is that StarLink Battle for Atlas. You know, I understand, if you hit this a few years ago, when toy-to-life games were like the biggest thing, then yeah, maybe I'd cut you some slack here, but they aren't. Disney Infinity's died. I don't think LEGO Dimension's doing that well, because... God, it's like twice as much as every other Toys to Life. And Amiibo, even though they sell well, they're fucking garbage. And I'm pretty sure Skylanders isn't even getting a new game this year. So yeah, Toys to Life are mostly dead. And within the next year, they'll pretty much be dead. So yeah, and especially with this coming out next year, this isn't a good thing. I really, really don't give a fuck about this game. Especially because it looks like a boring No Man's Skies-esque thing where you just fly around planets. Oh, woo, who cares? God, it's so generics. It's like one of those generic space shoot-em-ups you find on those plug-and-play consoles. You know the ones I'm talking about, right? But yeah, no, Ubisoft's conference, yeah, don't care. Next up, we got, Sonys Conference, which, Sonys Conference really highlights another thing that permeates throughout the rest of E3. One of the big other complaints that people are putting out, no surprises. There were no surprises this year. Almost, a lot of the stuff that we didn't know about, we didn't really care about, 2 exceptions, which I'll get to. But for the most part, it was a lot of stuff that, oh, we already know about. So yeah, here's some more stuff you already know about. And yeah, cool, you're excited, but whatever. The other real big problem with Sonys Conference, and this was mainly Sony's fault, is that a lot of the games don't come out until next year. They had very few games that released this year. But yeah, Sony's, I was excited for Sony's, and then boom, they just let me down with no new announcements and old release dates, because I was hoping they would change my mind, but they just couldn't. The best thing, well, yeah, God of War was good, and Spider-Man was good. I'm kind of holding my breath for those two. The thing that I think it has the most potential is David Cage's Detroit Become Human. It does look interesting. I like the idea of robots. I like how they're setting everything up. I don't know if they're going to go this way, but based on what we saw, I kind of like the idea of you playing through both the robots and the humans trying to deal with this. That does sound interesting. It is interesting to see where this goes, and that's what makes it most interesting to me. Because Spider-Man, oh, woo, it's another Spider-Man. They're probably going to try to do Spider-Man 2. Oh, woo, God of War, it's another God of War. Oh, they're changing some stuff up. It looks good. But yeah, at the end of the day, Detroit is just the most interesting thing, in my opinion. My least favorite thing, or one of my least favorite things from Sony's conference was Bravo Team. God, if you saw, this was their VR shooter. That was the most generic shooter in the world. I mean, like, they showed off Call of Duty, but I just can't muster up the anger for Call of Duty anymore. So this is just, Bravo Team is just boiled down Call of Duty. So yeah. Next up, we have Nintendo's show. Nintendo's show was a good show. It was short. It had some things that hyped people up. My favorite thing is Mario Odyssey, obviously. Odyssey, it looks like a good game. I like the idea of you possessing enemies. It has a lot of good ideas, some good gimmicks in it. And it is nice to see a return to 3D gameplay, right? It looks good. Right? My least favorite thing, and this is gonna stir up some jimmies, is freaking Metroid Prime 4. I know people are excited for this. I know people are, oh, it's Metroid Prime 4, oh my god. Yeah, no, hold your hype. All they did was show off a goddamn logo and say, this game is in development. Oh, woo, it's in development. No, you shouldn't be hyped for this. This is a false promise. It means nothing. I have the same problem with Beyond and Good Evil 2, but at least you kind of got a trailer. At least you kind of got a hint at what's coming. This Metroid Prime was just nothing. It's hollow. It's an empty promise. Sure, we'll eventually get it, and sure, it probably will be good, but right now, this is just trying to save face with the Metroid fandom. Because after the shit they gave us with Metroid Federation Force, and AM2R, which, okay, we know they shut off AM2R to make their Samus Returns remake, but AM2R looks a hell of a lot better with its stylized pixels than their freaking Metroid 2 Samus Returns remake, which is going for 3D graphics, right? They should have just got the ASMR guys to release the official one, because Nintendo's official one looks garbage. Well, it'll probably be too good, because Metroid 2 is my personal favorite. It's not the best. Super Metroid is still the best game, but personally, I love Metroid 2. But AM2R just looked so much better. It has a very washed out gray vibe. It just does not look good. Right? But Metroid Prime, if you're excited for it, no. Hold your breath. Wait until next year when they actually give us some shit. Because this is just hollow, false promises. Right? Now, before we get to my number one, my favorite thing in the shows, or in my favorite and least favorite, I want to talk about my favorite conference, right? So, this one was actually kind of close. It was between Nintendo and Ubisoft. They both, I mean, if I had to rank them, I'd say EA is in last place, then maybe Bethesda, then Sony, then Microsoft, right? So it left EA and Ubisoft and Nintendo. The one thing that makes Ubisoft and Nintendo stand out from all the others, in my opinion, is that they had charm. One of the big things they did was they had developers actually come up and talk about their games. Say, hey, these are our games. These are why you should like this. Right? This is what makes you interesting. We all know, we've seen the thing about the Ubisoft developer crying, right? It has that character. Or the Beyond Good and Evil developer come up and almost crying again from that he's finally getting able to reveal these games. Right? Nintendo did much of the same by having these developers come up, but they did it mostly during the Treehouse, right? They had those developers come up. They even had the guy who we all from the Ubisoft conference who did the Mario and Rabbids on the Treehouse. That's actually one of the few segments that if you didn't watch the Treehouse, I do recommend that one because he does share a great tale about him meeting Miyamoto, right? And him working on the game. I recommend it. But those are the two highlights from the conferences. But one had to shine above the rest, right? So which one was it? Devolver Digital. Devolver Digital had the best conference. They realized that this is the perfect year to do this, right? E3, as I've said, you could have just sent these in video form, right? A big show conference didn't matter. So E3's cloud is mattering less and less every year because of online services like Twitch and YouTube, where you could just make an announcement at any time. So E3 matters less and less. So Devolver Digital was just able to go up and in 15 minutes make fun of E3, prove just how pointless it's becoming. I mean, like, it's so pointless they had to start inviting random people to the show, right? To give it some cloud of relevance. So Devolver Digital, I think, wins the show. Okay, but in all seriousness, if you want to know the real winner, it was Ubisoft. I did not expect Ubisoft to do that good, but Ubisoft went in, got a bunch of good games, a lot of stuff I'm interested in. And again, this is all my personal opinion. They started off strong, they kind of fell out of it, and then went back up to do some more good stuff. Ubisoft, well, Nintendo had a good show, there wasn't enough there. It wasn't as strong. If they had a Smash Bros, an Animal Crossing, even a Pikmin, maybe, but they didn't. They didn't have a big hard hitter, and their hard hitter of Metroid Prime 4 was hollow and empty. So that's why I'm giving the show to Ubisoft. Right? But with that being said, my favorite and least favorite game. My least favorite game was goddamn Days Gone out of the Sony conference. This game looked bad last year. It looks even worse this year. This is just the most generic, goddamn who gives a shit zombie game. Or what are they calling them? Freakers? God, who gives a shit? This game looks so generic, and every time they're like, oh, this is such a big deal. Look at Days Gone. Look at the amount of zombies. Yeah, who cares? It looks so generic, so just every other zombie game. I've compared it, and other people have called it, Right to Hell Retribution 2, and that really is an apt comparison. It does have an uncanny resemblance to just being generic and mundane, like Right to Hell Retribution, even if Right to Hell Retribution was a hell of a lot worse. I mean, like, this will probably just be mediocre, while Right to Hell Retribution was just atrocious. But no, it just every year. Last year this disappointed me. This year it disappointed me even worse. God damn it, I really do not care for this game. But my favorite game of the show goes to... I'm giving it to Ubisoft, because, well, you could argue Nintendo, but no, I'm giving it to Ubisoft, Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. Well, this just, I don't hate the Rabbids like a lot of other people, but I did not expect this. This game looks really good. It has a good art style. The gameplay, XCOM. Did anybody expect XCOM? No, you probably didn't. And it looks so good. I'm really excited for this. It comes out in like 2 months, which, yeah, okay, good. We get to play this game. And the amount of passion we see behind this game. The developer actually cares, right? He's given Mario and Rabbids, whatever. But no, that's what you think the approach they take. But no, he's putting passion, he's putting care behind it. He wants to make a good game. And I applaud him for that. This does look so good. It clearly has the effort needed to be a good game. So I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see what comes from it. And I'm excited to play it, right? It really it surprised me. And it just looks good. It looks well done, right? But that's E3. It had its ups and its downs. Overall, I seem to be a lot more positive than most people, but we'll see about how good some of this stuff actually comes. I have my faith in some of that stuff. Others, yeah, I'm not holding my breath. But with all this being said, I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Until next time, peace.